Okay, so let's get the elephant out of the room and talk about just everything that's going on right now. So, first of all, it's no surprise that I was not the biggest fan of yesterday's live event. In many ways, it felt like a hashtag ad, and it was very jarring to me. I was not expecting to see Ice Spice or Snoop Dogg pop up on stage, but I think for what the event was, even if I didn't like it, there was still a lot to appreciate. From a technical aspect, I have to give it to Epic Games. Some of the work that they did was masterful in terms of blending an actual real-life live event at Times Square in with a virtual video game and having the timing of those two things work in tandem together. That was impressive to see. Like when Snoop Dogg went on the turntables and then that had an effect in game in real time, that was actually really dope. Also, like some of the visuals that we saw in between, like the sets of the different artists, like just the skyscrapers kind of coming up in the background, or even all the graffiti being shown in the sky. There was some really cool Fortnite live event features inside of this thing. However, this didn't really feel like a Fortnite live event. It felt more like a live stream. It kind of reminded me of when Dragon Ball Super was brought into Fortnite and you could watch episodes of Dragon Ball in that creative map that they had on the big screen TV that they had there. Yeah, that was cool. It was a novelty, but that doesn't scream live event to me. Now, I want to make this clear. Just because I didn't like the event does not mean that it wasn't well executed, that a lot of people didn't put a lot of hard work on it, and that it wasn't impressive from a technical aspect. It's just that when it comes to live events, this is not really what we expect from Fortnite, because live events have one big purpose that I'm going to get into a little bit later. But before we get there, there's a couple other things that we need to address first. Like, for example, I just feel like this is a very awkward way to advertise the next season of Fortnite and the theme that was coming. Like watching Ice Spice up on stage trying to be sexy in front of an audience of like predominantly minors, and of course there were some adults, of course, are going to be in Times Square, and people like me that are older that are going to watch the game and play. But like with Fortnite in many ways kind of still being a game predominantly marketed towards young teens and children, it's just like kind of tone deaf in a way. Like it just was weird. Then when Snoop Dogg came on stage, it's just like, okay, I mean, cool, I guess it's fine, but it's just, wow, the presentation of it was just so odd to me. I think it would have been cooler if it was an in-game live event or in-game concert, which is what, honestly, I was expecting. My expectations for this whole thing, just to let everybody know, were insanely low. Like, they were down here, but the live event, as my boy Clen said, brought it even lower. This was not really anything in the realm of what I was expecting, and it's just because I don't think it really served its purpose, and ultimately, it felt like a gimmick, which is my main issue with this entire thing, including the theme of the season. Now, to get this out of the way, I don't believe it's the case that this theme, this rapper theme season, doesn't belong in Fortnite. I don't have an issue with them actually being inside of the game per se. I just think that for it to be coupled with a remix or an older version of Fortnite, a classic era version of Fortnite, it's a odd pairing. It almost feels like Epic Games isn't confident enough in their own brand in Fortnite and them being able to draw in an audience just off of their own original ideas. I want to see this game succeed. I want to see it do well. However, in some ways, and this is going to sound very weird to say, in some ways, I'm hoping that this does not rival the success of OG, because I want Epic to understand that we love the game for what the game is. Even the people that will come to the game for Snoop Dogg and Ice Spice, those people, if they decide to stay, are not staying because of Snoop Dogg and Ice Spice. They're staying because the game is fun. And the reason why we all fell in love with this game is because the game is fun. And it's okay to have gimmicks, but I would argue that in the past, Fortnite, even with their collabs, didn't use them as gimmicks, and they were more so features. This is what I came to realize after talking with a lot of you guys on stream today. Gimmicks are just features without purpose. These rappers were brought in very abruptly, somewhat randomly. We went from Dr. Doom to Mephisto to Ice Spice. It's why? That right there, what I just said, it's so jarring. Like, this entire chapter, whether a lot of you realize it or not, it actually had one big cohesive storyline. We went from fighting the society to the society opening up Pandora's box, bringing in the Greek gods, to the Greek gods bringing in the Wastelanders and the attention of the Wanderer, who was actually working with the society in the background, to the Wanderer being Dr. Doom, then Dr. Doom being taken out. That in turn created a power gap, which brought Mephisto onto the island, and now we have Ice Spice and Snoop Dogg. It's weird to me them. Like, no. This is one of the reasons why the rappers feel like more of a gimmick than a feature. It feels like you're trying to advertise and get people. You're dangling this carrot in front of the horse, like, hey guys, look at the rappers. The rappers are coming. Ooh, you like Ice Spice? Ooh, she's thick. Look how pretty she is. Ooh, Snoop Dogg's an OG. Oh, look at that. Huh? No. Now, for a lot of the people that are inclined to agree with me, you may be thinking that I'm trying to argue from a position of the storyline coming back, and the storyline needs to be as good as it was in Donald Mustard's day, which would be good, and I would love that. However, I don't expect that. I don't expect Fortnite to want to put in that level of effort that Donald Mustard had. Like I told JoJo last night, in order for you to replicate what Donald Mustard did, you have to have a person with an insane level of passion for storytelling, but also with an insane level of expertise in being able to craft good games. Like, Donald Mustard had a unique set of skills that all worked in tandem together. He could not only create fun gameplay loops, but could give it a purpose with the storyline. And as I've always said, when the storyline and the gameplay work synergistically together, it always makes the game more fun. This is evident in all video games that have good stories. Look at Halo. There's a reason why the first 3 Halos were so popular. Not just because the gameplay was amazing, but because the story was awesome. People resonated with those characters. There's an argument that I've been hearing from people for the last day and a half, but like this idea that we can just throw away story because, well, as long as the gameplay is good, it doesn't matter. It's just not true. Even if you don't personally care about the story, it does serve a purpose. It does make the game more rewarding and enjoyable, and it gives context to everything. But you know what it does? On top of that, the most important thing, and the thing that I was alluding to at the start of this video, the purpose of the story and the live events specifically, when they are executed properly, is to give closure. I don't feel like I got much closer with Fortnite Chapter 5. And in some ways, I kind of don't feel like I had closure for Chapter 4. Chapter 4 had the interesting problem of not really having any live events, but at least when transitioning to OG, they kind of set it up with the whole Kato Thorn time machine thing, and that was our explanation on going into the past back into the original season of Fortnite. Now, I understand that it's not necessary for Fortnite to always couple storyline with an OG season or a remix season, or specifically an older era of Fortnite. However, it would be nice to get some semblance of closure on a chapter, even if you don't give a storytelling narrative to give us a reason for why we're experiencing an OG season or an older season. And the weird thing is, even with this one, they seem like they're trying to do it through like these weird voice quests that they have with Hope. Like Hope is talking to Valeria. I don't know if it's through time or through space, but she's calling her on the phone, leaving voicemails, and it's just kind of weird. I don't know what they're trying to imply, but it's odd that all these like Chapter 5 people are on the Chapter 2 map. I honestly don't know what's going on here. Look, minority storyline tendencies to the side, I really want gameplay to be in the main focus. And to be fair, we have some fire gameplay this season, which is why I'm not mad at this. Like, even though we have this collab, and it does feel kind of gimmicky, and it does feel a little out of place, it's not bad, and it doesn't interfere with how the core gameplay works. This still feels like the Chapter 2 island, just with a musical twist, and this is what Epic was going for. I wasn't expecting pop stars to take up 3 of the most iconic POIs from that era, but I think that it'll be fine. Like, Eminem's minigun is actually pretty hilarious. I like that. Snoop Dogg, his dog pound, I mean, whatever. It's the agency. It feels a little hollow because there's like no music or anything going on, which I like. I'm actually happy that there's no music, but I don't know, something about the presentation of this chapter just feels a little hollow to me. The way it's packaged, I don't know, it doesn't have that same love that OG did, at least in my mind, at least to me. I've even sat here and asked myself, if they did this to Fortnite OG, if they brought in the rapper collab, if they did the rapper rollout for Fortnite, but with Fortnite OG, and we had have gotten that last year instead of how OG actually was, would I have enjoyed it as much? And the answer that I've come to is, I don't know, because Fortnite was in a completely different space at that time. There are 2 main differences between when Fortnite OG was introduced and Fortnite Remix. Number 1, we didn't have the metaverse, so we weren't getting the bombardment of collabs like we are now. Don't get me wrong, we did have collab-heavy seasons, but it didn't feel like it was being introduced to us the same way that it is now. And let me make something else very clear. I'm not blaming this season on the metaverse. This isn't a metaverse problem. This is just a marketing and a theming issue. I'm not blaming the metaverse on this. We got to stop using the metaverse as a way to explain away things that we don't like in Fortnite. That is not an example of the metaverse. We've always had collabs in Fortnite even before there was a metaverse. It's just that this one feels off to me. And coming into an era where the metaverse is heavily dependent upon collabs, because we get so many inside of Fortnite now, it kind of makes these feel more gimmicky because they lose meaning or value the more collabs you're presented with constantly. But all that aside, let's rein it back in. What's my second point? What's the second difference between Fortnite Remix and Fortnite OG being introduced? I think the other thing that made Fortnite OG so special is that we didn't have reload. I honestly think in some ways, reload kind of spoiled us. Think about when Fortnite OG came back. A lot of those weapons we hadn't used for a really long time. Those POIs we hadn't been to for a really long time. But when you go to Chapter 2 Remix, well, a couple of the POIs that are on that map we've been playing on for the vast majority of the year. Reload introduced the old hit scan weapons, a lot of the old items. Like, there was just so much from the classic era of Fortnite that was put into Reload. And so when we go to a OG or an older theme season, it's not as much of a novelty because we've already got exposure to these items. The dopamine kick isn't going to be there because we've been using these for the last few months every day. And for a lot of us, we've been playing Reload than we have main BR. I'll be honest with you guys, I am enjoying this, and I will take this over Chapter 5 any day. Thank God we are done with Chapter 5. We have finished. We've gone back to a classic play style of Fortnite. However, I'm not enjoying this as much as I did OG, and I'm not going to lie and fake that to my audience. But I want to make this clear to all of you. Even though I'm not having the most fun, that doesn't mean that, one, this theming is bad, and two, that you shouldn't enjoy it. It's just that to me, it feels a little off-putting. And by making this video, as well as the live streams that I had, I'm trying to figure out why. Honestly, I think it just comes down to how everything was packaged. It feels like a gimmick, not a feature. A feature is something that adds value to the core thing that you're offering, whereas a gimmick is just a cheap, flashy item that's used to kind of draw you in and lure you in to do something. Ultimately, gimmicks lack purpose, and these wrappers don't really serve much purpose outside of being the big eye candy for the season. But I don't think that this is something that a Chapter 2 season needed. Going back to the Chapter 2 island in and of itself was the novelty. I didn't need Ice Spice, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem to encourage me to play this season. I also think that's another thing that's kind of weird for me too, is like when I look at the classic era of Fortnite, those first 2 chapters, in some ways they're kind of sacred to me. Like, I feel like they shouldn't be touched. Like, I wouldn't mind if Fortnite just remixed concepts within their own original ideas. Like I always say, Fortnite is more fun when it focuses on its own original ideas and concepts, but I don't think that it's necessary to bring in a collab to make me engage with an older era of Fortnite. Either bring back that experience for how it was at that time, or if you're going to remix it with other ideas and concepts that you have from your library of your own original content. The thing that I liked about OG and what I thought was going to be happening with these types of seasons moving forward was it was going to be a way for us to kind of decompress and get away from the modern era of Fortnite for just a month, for us to kind of go back and live the nostalgic vibes just for a little bit, just for those 30 days, and then we would go back into whatever new thing Epic had for us that was going to be the meta moving forward for the next year. And listen, I appreciate all the stuff Epic does, all the things they send me, all the things they do for my friends, how they support us, even the theming of this season and the live event they put on yesterday. I appreciate that as well. I like how they are just continuing to experiment with experiences. But when it comes to these types of things in Fortnite, I like it when they just focus on what we got attracted to the game for. That is Fortnite. This game is at its most fun when it does its own thing, and that's why I still like this season. Like, the M&M minigun is hilarious. I just think that that's like a Fortnite spin on like an M&M item in game. Like, it just makes sense. It's really cool how they did that. In spite of that, I still feel like I would have preferred it just either being how it was or just remixing it with other original concepts. That's it. That's my opinion and that's my take. But I'm still going to enjoy it for the month that we have it. There are a couple of things that I do hope they change over the next few weeks. I have no idea why Epic is afraid of trap slots. Why are there no turrets or jump pads in the loot pool like there were in the original 3 seasons of Chapter 2? Why are launch pads throwable instead of being in trap slots like they were in OG? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I just find it so odd how Epic is afraid of that gameplay pattern. It's weird. Kind of like how I said it was odd how it took them so long to bring armored walls back. To the end of Chapter 4, like, that would have been perfect to bring in during Wrecked, but then they just throw away these concepts that are intrinsically more fun to the game. I don't know. But outside of me not getting the trap slots, everything else is great. The weapons feel good. They're fun. The island is amazing. I'm starting to realize how big this island was. I'm not sure if this is bigger than the other islands that we had before it and after, but this sucker's huge. In some games, especially if I'm playing duos or squads, it's hard to find fights. So solos is definitely the most fun for me right now. I'm getting into way more fights and enjoy myself a lot more. But listen, regardless of how I feel, I want to make sure you guys are having fun because I will be having fun anyway. And Epic, thank you guys for another banger season. Thank you for Chapter 5. Even thank you for the live event. Even though I personally thought it was a little tone deaf, it wasn't for me. But like I always say, just because I think something's trash or just because I don't like something does not mean that it's bad. It's just not for me. Yesterday wasn't for me, but this season definitely is. You know what else is for me and everybody else here? My new map, Crack Coliseum. Everybody should go play that. We are going to have a Chapter 2 remix. No rappers, but we are going to have a Chapter 2 remix update on my Crack Coliseum map. This is my first UEFN project. We perfectly blended zone wars and box fights into one seamless game. If you want to play it for yourself, I'll have Tanks with the island code up on screen down below me, and I'll also have a video up on screen for you to check out to keep you entertained until I can get the next one out or the next live stream. Guys, I love y'all. Enjoy Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.